another Soul Truth Sunday, baby. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Listen, good people, are you safe with you? What do I mean by safe, right? When you make a mistake, do you feel safe? When life starts disappointing you, do you feel safe with you, right? When life starts sending you things that make you feel uncertain and start doubting, do you feel safe with you? See, listen, good people, most people think they got a relationship problem with other people, right? They think their relationship problems come from other people, but really they come from you. The relationship that you have with yourself and your higher power are the two most important relationships. And we about to break it down right here on Soul Truth Sunday, baby. Welcome back to another episode of Soul Truth Sunday. I'm your host, FL, your life coach. And today, and y'all already know what we get down and how we get down on Soul Truth Sunday. This is where we slow things down. We recognize our patterns, right? We regulate our body through it. We get a new revelation, right? We build a rhythm around that revelation and put it on repeat mode so you can tell your soul truth, so you can dare to be you. So, man, look, I've been up. Y'all know, man, I be excited about Sundays, man. Wifey will tell you. I've been up since 6 o'clock waiting on you. I can't wait for this message, man, to talk about, we've been talking about the four legs of life, but this message is talking about relationships, right? The one with yourself and your higher power, right? How you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself are the two most important things that you can ever do, good people. So listen, if you missed part one, go back, check out part one. I did part one, your life feeling unstable. I just gave you an overview of what the four legs actually are: identity, relationships, health, money. Part two, I went deeper into identity, right? Because some people confuse their identity, right, with responsibility or titles. Mother, father, provider, entrepreneur, right? Those are titles and responsibilities, right? But they're not your identity. So go check out part two. In part three, yes, sir, we here live in the living color on this Sunday, diving into the relationship part, right? In part three. So listen, in this part right here, we about to just dive right in, good people, because I really want to get to this, and I really want you to hear this, right? Because like I said, your relationship that you have with yourself is the most important relationship you could ever have. How you talk yourself through pressure, doubt, uncertainty. Yeah, it matters. It matters because your nervous system hears your voice first thing in the morning. Your nervous system hears your voice the most out of anybody, right? So what you say to yourself and how you treat yourself, it matters. So let's just get right into it. So listen, this is what I want you to realize before we jump into, I got to frame this thing for you, right? Listen, we ain't talking about the relationships with your spouse. We ain't talking about the relationship with your kids. We ain't talking about parenting. We ain't talking about friendships. We talking about the one with you. I'm talking to you, right? See, the way you talk and treat yourself, it teaches everybody else how to talk and treat you. That's what I want you to go be thinking about as we go into it, right? Okay, so listen, this is the first part I want to talk about. And remember, man, this is a live Q&A. If you got questions, drop them below. I'll get to them, right? Maybe you don't got a question. Maybe a part of this live is hitting you. Drop it below. Join the conversations, right? Because your comment could help somebody else in the community. Might not necessarily be a question. So this first part I want to get into, what happens when life starts lifing, good people. The moments that really reveal your true relationship with you. So what moments am I talking about? Moments of pressure, moments of disappointment, right? Moments of uncertainty, right? Fear, doubt. So look, I wrote this down because y'all know me, I'm a note taker. I'm a note taker. I wrote this down. How do you talk to yourself when pressure hits your life? When disappointment hits your life? What do you say to yourself? Right? When things are not working well in your life, when something doesn't go like you planned, what's that conversation like with you? Right? Right? See, because listen, I really want you to think about this. I really want you to think about this. Most people are in a toxic relationship with themselves, right? Because the things that they do for other people, okay, so let me say it like this. Let me say it like this. Think about the closest person to you right now in your life. It could be a spouse, a partner, just a friendship, right? Who do you call your best friend, right? Or even a spouse. If your spouse was feeling overwhelmed about something in their life, how would you respond to your spouse? Would you criticize them? Would you judge them? No, you wouldn't, right? You would try to make them feel safe, right? If your best friend was having some uncertainty in their life right now and they came to you and talked to you about it, what would you say to them, right? Would you increase that uncertainty and be like, man, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you just gonna have to deal with it, right? Right? Would you criticize them for feeling uncertainty? No, you would try to make them feel safe. So how come you don't do that with you? How do you talk to yourself through pressure? How do you talk to yourself through uncertainty? How do you talk to yourself when disappointment hits? How do you talk to yourself, right? When you start feeling fear, when you're forced to get to new rooms and new levels in life, and it starts to feel uncomfortable to you. How do you talk to yourself? See, look, man, this is a personal story, man, for me and wifey that just happened. I mean, like just last week, this just happened, right? So everybody know I'm an entrepreneur. You know, we built this media company, but we got a business outside of this in the cannabis business, all that good stuff, right? So it was a really big deal that was supposed to come through this week, right? So the time frames, all that, everything was hammered out, but the time that the deal was supposed to come through, it got pushed back. It got delayed. It got delayed for factors that was outside of our control. Like I couldn't control any other thing than what I control, right? But guess what happened? I was still disappointed. Wifey was still disappointed. So wifey had to handle her own disappointment. I had to handle mine. What did I say to myself during that time of disappointment? Did I blame myself for it? Did I make it personal? Oh, man, the deal ain't gonna never happen now. I knew it wasn't gonna never happen. See, I told you. No. Did I do that? No. I had to talk myself through that disappointment. Just like I would encourage somebody else through disappointment, I had to encourage myself through that disappointment. How did I do that? By grounding myself in reality and separating the story from the facts and reality, right? This is what I teach in my one-on-one Soul Truth Power sessions, right? Right? You gotta learn how to ground yourself in reality. And what I mean by that is tell yourself the truth about what's really going on. So when that disappointment hit, the truth was it just got pushed back. The deal is still going to happen. It just got delayed, right? The truth wasn't, oh, the deal ain't going to never happen. I told y'all I shouldn't have went with this person or did. How do you talk to yourself, right? Just think if I would have told myself that and kept telling myself that and kept criticizing myself or judging myself for that disappointment and blaming myself. I do that enough time, guess what happens? My nervous system keeps hearing that. And guess what it starts believing? The story that I'm telling myself, right? What relationship do you have with yourself, good people? Listen, I'm trying to give y'all the sauce to show you that that relationship with yourself is going to affect every other relationship in your life. In your life. So are you separating the truth about what's really happening, the facts, the reality, or you keep telling yourself the story? So when disappointment hits, you tell yourself you're not enough, right? So when life starts lifing and you feel overwhelmed, you tell yourself you can't do it, right? Right? No, that's the story. That's not the truth about who you are, right? You wouldn't do your best friend like that. So stop doing you like that. Okay? So listen, like I said, your nervous system, good people, you keep telling yourself that. You start to believe the stories that you tell yourself. So what type of relationship do you have with you? With you. I want you to hear this next part before we go into how you treat yourself. Because not only is the relationship twofold, what you say to yourself, but it's also how you treat yourself. So your self-talk, This is what I want you to hear. Your self-talk becomes the internal environment, right? The internal emotional environment that your nervous system lives in and grows in. Oh, listen, your self-talk becomes the internal emotional environment that your nervous system lives in and grows in. So what do you say to yourself in pressure moments, in moments that you feel overwhelmed, in moments that life shows you disappointment, in moments where things don't work out like you want, even in the moments when they do? Because you know what? Your nervous system is listening to you. Okay, so listen, now I'm getting ready to get to the next part, right? Are you in a toxic relationship with yourself? Because how you treat yourself determines that, right? So listen, if you single out there, right, how do you treat yourself? Do you date yourself? Do you show yourself self-love, right? Because if you're really trying to get into a relationship with somebody else, your relationship with yourself is going to set the standard. How you treat yourself, right? Do you criticize yourself? Do you judge yourself, right? Let me slow down on that criticism, right? Because that affects a lot of us, like high achievers like ourselves, right? We're notorious for criticizing ourselves, right? Right. Okay. Well, maybe that's just me. Listen, this is what I mean by criticizing myself, right? When I do something, right, I had to retrain myself to not criticize myself, because as a high achiever, every time I would do something, nothing would feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing will feel good to me as a high achiever, or nothing will feel satisfied to me. In other words, like when I did something, other people will praise me. Oh, that was good. Man, that looks good. Then I will pick it apart. I will criticize myself. I could have done this better, could have done that better. When everybody else is telling me how good it is. That's what I mean. How do you treat yourself? Are you so critical of yourself that you can't see the good in yourself? Good people, that's a toxic relationship. Are you judging yourself? How you treat yourself? Do you judge yourself for every decision you make? You make a decision or you make a choice, and then you pick it apart because you judge yourself for making that choice and decision. Good people, that's a toxic relationship with yourself. This is what I wrote down. That's a toxic relationship with yourself. When you make a mistake, do you respond to yourself, or do you react in shame? Right? Do you shame yourself for making that mistake? How do you treat yourself? It's not just what you say to yourself during those pressure moments, but it's also how you treat yourself. Are you critical? Are you judging yourself? Are you shaming yourself? Good people, that's toxic. Because listen, you wouldn't do that to somebody else that you say that you cared about. You wouldn't do that to somebody else that you say that you love deeply. You wouldn't do that to your best friend. You wouldn't do that to your significant other. So why are you doing it to you? You see what I'm saying? You got to improve your relationship with yourself if you want all your other relationships to improve, because that's the relationship that determines every other relationship, right? So listen, let me ask you a quick question. When you rest, do you feel guilty? Yeah. Do you feel guilty? Yeah, I told you I'm a note taker. I'm looking at my notes. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing, right? Right? When you slow down, do you feel guilty? Right? When you start taking care of yourself, right? When you set boundaries and priorities for yourself, do you feel guilty? That's a toxic relationship with yourself. Because all of those things are healthy. You should rest without guilt. You should set boundaries without guilt, because you teach people how to treat you, good people. You teach people how to treat you. So watch this. If you don't know how to treat yourself, how would I know how to treat you? I don't. I'm going to imitate, imitate what you do to yourself. So if you talk down to yourself, if you criticize yourself, and I'm your best friend and I'm around you all the time, guess what you're teaching me to do? When you start criticizing yourself, I'm going to join the party. When you start judging yourself, I'm going to join the party. Right? How do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? See, listen, this is what I wrote down. This is what I want you to see. And I already said this before, but I'm going to say it again. The way you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for how other people treat you. That's the blueprint, good people. What are you saying to yourself? How are you treating yourself? Are you showing yourself grace in difficult moments? Right? Because listen, growth is already uncomfortable enough in life, right? Like when you're growing, when you're stretching, when you're trying to go to another level in life, it already feels uncomfortable because you got to retrain your nervous system to feel safe, right? With that new level. So why are you working against yourself by talking down to yourself or by treating yourself bad, by judging yourself, by criticizing yourself? You got to learn to work with yourself. You got to learn to strengthen the relationship with you. And that relationship with yourself is normally a direct reflection of your relationship with your higher power, good people. But listen, before I get to that part, I just want to break down this nervous system pattern, right? So why do you criticize yourself? Why do you judge yourself? Right? Right? Why do you do that? When logically you know it's toxic. When logically, mentally, you know it's toxic, right? Right? Mentally, you understand you shouldn't be treating yourself like that. You shouldn't be saying those things to yourself like that. So why do you do it? The pattern, good people. You hear me talk about this. Nervous system, right? I wrote this down. Why do people criticize themselves? Because it becomes a familiar pattern. Why do people judge themselves? Because it becomes a familiar pattern. Why do people struggle with giving themselves grace? Because it becomes a familiar pattern. See, high achievers normalize busyness, pressure, performance, right? I wrote this down. Then we start attaching our identity to it, right? So every time we don't hit that mark, we criticize ourselves. Every time we don't hit that mark, we judge ourselves. But that's because of how we trained our nervous system, right? Right? Stay with me. That's because we attached our nervous system safety to results. Oh man, y'all missed that. Y'all missed that. Listen. Your nervous system will always choose familiar over what's healthy until you teach it something different. So that's why you keep being critical of yourself. That's why you keep judging yourself secretly. Don't nobody even know this, but you know it. That's why you talk down on yourself every time you make a mistake. That's why you shaming yourself every time life don't go right. You take it personal because you've trained your nervous system to that. Now you got to retrain your nervous system to a new identity. Now you got to retrain your nervous system to feel safe during those moments, right? By giving it a different language so you can change your internal emotional state. So that's why people know what to do mentally. That's why people can identify mentally and logically understand what they need to do, but their body just remembers. It remembers when they talk to themselves that one pressure moment and they talk down on themselves and they shame themselves and they criticize themselves. Their body remembers that. So now every time they get into a pressure moment, every time they get into a moment of doubt or fear, of uncertainty, guess what the body remembers and goes back to? Yet, y'all see, that hit somebody. That click for you, right? Because your body remembers. So in order for you to change your relationship with yourself, you have to change your internal dialogue with yourself and how you treat yourself, right? Okay, listen, good people. I'm almost good, man. Look, I'm almost done. I'm hoping you get some value out of this, man. I love this, good people. I love showing up here every Sunday with you teaching this. I told you, my calling is teaching. My gifting, pattern recognition, translation, communication. My purpose, to help you connect back to what you got disconnected from and to help me stay connected to the things I need to stay connected to. I love this shit, good people. Okay, so listen, what's the second relationship? I'm almost done. What's the second relationship? It's the one that you have with your higher power. You feel me? That relationship normally determines how you truly see yourself. Now, listen, when I say higher power, I call it God. Okay, let me spend a little bit right here because y'all know my background. You know, I studied Hebrew, Greek, have my own church. I had to deconstruct from that and find a faith that made sense for me. So when I say God, I'm saying the same thing as source, energy, universe, because I've done the work to deconstruct my faith and figure that out. But whatever your higher power is, right? Do you pray to it? Do you acknowledge it? Do you talk to it? Right? Do you recognize that it's there? Do you sit with it? Do you understand that it's not only outside of you, it's not only bigger than you, but it's in you? Do you tap into it? Right? Do you see your higher power high and lifted up? Right? Or do you see it just like you? Because normally, in my 20 years of personal development, doing one-on-one coaching and just being in this space, most people's direct reflection of themselves has to do with how they see their higher power, right? So that's why I always ask people, and I'm asking you, do you talk to it? Do you acknowledge it? See, I talk to God like I'm talking to you right now, man. I talk to God every day. I sit with God every day, right? I pray with God every day because this is the thing that helped me change my whole perception about me, not perspective. My perception about me is when I figured out that God needed me. That might, ooh wee. Want me to say that again? That might go over some people's head for the people in the back. When I really understood that God needed me, that my higher power needed me, that we was in a partnership together. Okay, listen, let me break this down. See, most people think that we just need God, right? Especially if you grew up in religion like I did, especially Christianity, that we just need God, that we are just solely dependent on God only. But this is what I found out in my journey, that God needs me, right? Because who's the star of my life? Me. Who's the only person that can make my dreams come true in my life? Me. Who's the only person that can cultivate that relationship with myself in my life? Me, right? God is always going to be for me, right? God is always going to love me and be there like that loving parent, right? But guess what? If I don't participate in the story of my own life, guess what? It doesn't happen, good people. So God needs me to participate, just like I need him. When I really understood that, that changed my whole dynamic with God, good people. When you really understand that God needs you, that your higher power needs you, that without you, your life doesn't change. Even though God wants your life to change, even though God has good for you, waiting for you to live it, to experience it, right? But it won't do it without you. So that's the second relationship. How do you interact with God or your higher power? Right? Right? When I stop being solely dependent on God and start to understand, oh, God needed me. Man, it changed the whole dynamic of my relationship with God, good people, and my relationship with myself. Right? It made me more accountable. It made me more responsible for myself, right? Because I understood that I had a part that I have to play, and God has a part that God has to play. I can't do God's part, and God can't do my part, good people. What is your relationship like with yourself and your higher power? Right? Listen, I wrote this down. God can express my purpose for me. God can't express your purpose. God can't tell my soul truth for me. God can't tell your soul truth. God needs you. I started to say he, but I just like to say God. God needs you. The universe needs you. Source needs you. What's your relationship like with that? That's what you got to see. Your higher power can guide you. This is the soul truth I want you to hear before I go to the next part. Your higher power can guide you, but it can't walk for you. Man, listen. So listen. Here's the shift you got to make. Here's the shift I had to make, right? You got to become a safe place for yourself. That's the relationship. You got to become an emotional safe place for you. For you. You can't just always run to somebody to get emotional safety. You got to be able to sit with those feelings of discomfort. You got to be able to sit with those feelings of fear and doubt, uncertainty, insecurity, all that stuff. You got to be able to sit with that and create an emotionally safe place within yourself, because that relationship with yourself, it matters. That conversation with yourself, it matters. I can tell you all day long, like on Soul Truth Sunday, how powerful you are, right? That God needs you, right? All the stuff that we've been talking about, right? But if you don't tell yourself that, and if yourself don't believe that, your nervous system don't believe that, nothing changes in your life, right? So listen, this is what I want you to see. Become a safe place for you. How do you do that? You know I'm your life coach, so I'm fit to give you some practical steps. How do you do that? Breath work, prayer, gratitude, right? I wrote down, self-care, self-talk. So listen, this is a real example on me, on how I cultivate the relationship with me, right? So first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, right? When my eyes open up, y'all heard me say this, right? I go right into my breath work, good people. I get in tune with my body. I start talking to my nervous system, because the first voice your nervous system hears every day is yours. What are you saying to it? So breath work. I start breathing. This is real. I've been doing this over a decade. So I start breathing, getting into my breath work, right? And then I tell myself instantly, it's going to be a great day today. So I start talking to myself, self-talk, as I'm breathing, as I'm getting out of bed, as I'm getting myself together. I'm still slowing myself down. Now, as I go into the bathroom, start preparing myself, brushing my teeth, washing my face. This is my actual steps. I'm giving it to you, right? How to make the shift. I'm looking myself in the mirror, right? Still talking to myself. As I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face, calming my body down, checking in with my body, my nervous system. Then I grab my 21-day money reset regulation. Yeah, link in the bio, my products. I still use my same products. That same 21-day money reset regulation, I use that every day. So I say those 10 mantras. I say that prayer at the end of it while I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Sometimes I put my hand over my heart, right, to let myself know I'm talking to you, right? So as I'm doing all of this, right, then after I do that, I continue my breath work. Then I go right into my workouts. I go right into, movement with my body. This is how you make the shift. This is the relationship that I have with myself, right? And then throughout the day, I'm checking in with myself, right? Then throughout the day, when life starts lifing, right, and things start showing up, uncertainty might show up. might feeling doubt about a business deal or whatever. Guess what? I start talking to myself. I start treating myself like I want to be treated, right? These are actual steps, good people. This is the shift that you have to make with yourself, because your nervous system hears your voice. And if you're not walking yourself through that with grace, if you're not walking yourself through uncertainty and life disappointments with grace and regulation, your perspectives are going to collapse. This is science, right? When you dysregulate it, it collapses your perspectives, right? When you start talking down on yourself, shaming yourself, it collapses your perspectives. So how do you talk and treat yourself? Listen, growth never feels good, right? And you're going to be growing your whole life, but you got to make it feel safe. And in order to make it feel safe, that comes from how you talk and treat yourself. That comes from the relationship that you have with yourself and your higher power. Because those two relationships determine everything else. So listen, I want you to hear this before we get up out of here. And that's it, good people. Listen, your job isn't to eliminate discomfort. Discomfort comes with the growth, right? You can't eliminate the pressure of life. You can't eliminate feeling overwhelmed. You can't eliminate fear and doubt. That's life. That's part of life. Your job is to help your body, nervous system feel safe through those pressure moments. And that is determined by the relationship you have with yourself and your higher power. Yes, sir. Listen, that is Soul Truth Sunday, good people. And listen, y'all already know, I already said a little bit about the products, but if you needed a next step, a direct next step, man, click that link. That's what my 21-day money reset regulation is for. My Use It or Lose It 6-part audio series plus workbook. It helps you build a better relationship with yourself, right? To get your gift off the sideline and into the game. What are you waiting for? If you need to go deeper, my one-on-one Soul Truth Power Sessions. I teach our 5R framework. Recognize the patterns, regulate your body through it, right? Get a new revelation, build a rhythm around that revelation, put it on repeat mode so you can dare to be you, right? So email me for your one-on-one Soul Truth Power Session, FL, the Lifecoach at gmail.com. Or your next step might just be to click that link. Shopify stores up, we got merch, whatever it is, you got to be real with yourself. And that's part of building a real relationship with yourself, is being honest. So be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what next step do I need? Do I need a one-on-one Soul Truth Power Session? Do I just need to click the link and get the digital products right? What do I need? Honesty. Because the relationship with you and your higher power determines every other relationship in your life. And it teaches people how to treat you. So look, if there's no questions, good people, I don't see no questions today. Listen, I want you to share this video with somebody who needed it. I want you to replay this video, right? Because you don't need to replay this a couple of times. I need you to go back, watch part 1, right? The overview of the 4 legs of life, and then watch part 2, where we dive into identity. This is part 3, relationships, and then part 4, next part, man, we're going to be talking about health, good people. Yeah, or I might do the money leg. I don't know, but I'm thinking health though. But either one of them, we're gonna be talking about the other leg. They ain't no particular order, so you don't have to put them in order like that. But these 4 legs determine the stability in your life. So tighten these legs up, and until next time, same bad time, same bad channel. Happy Sunday to you, good people. Dare to be you, baby.